Welcome to the Tarot Coven cast. Real people, real talk, real magic. Hello out there, lovely listeners, and welcome to the Tarot Coven cast. I'm your host, Jasmine, and once again, we have the entire coven in the house tonight, so please join me in welcoming Elena.
Hi, everybody.
Jekanovia.
Hi there.
And Jessie.
Hello, tarot listeners.
And this time on the show, we're talking all about tarot readings. We're going to take you through a 3-card reading right from start to finish, and then we're going to wrap things up with a few free 1-card readings for some lovely, lucky listeners. First things first, though, I wanted to ask each member of the coven how you get yourselves ready for a reading. So why don't we start with you, Elena? What is your process? How do you get ready to do a reading, whether it's for yourself or for clients?
Well, for both, the main thing I like to do is make sure I take some time out to just clear the energies, make sure that I do a quick meditation to cut cords so everything is clear. And then I bring in my guides. I ask my angels for protection for the space, and then I thank them for just, being present and, allowing me to provide messages. And I love to sage the space, sage my cards. I light candles, usually 1 to 2. I don't really like to overdo it with too much candles, but I love to at least light a candle for protection, a candle to just draw in love into the reading. And then I just set my intentions and go from there.
Nice. Okay, how about you, Jekanovia?
Well, I'm lucky. I have my own office in my home, and that's where I do all of my readings, so it always remains my space. So I just keep really careful to watch the energy that comes in, and I clear it regularly sometimes with sage, sometimes with singing bowls. When I'm sitting down to do a reading, I'll light a candle. I breathe for a few minutes. I do a lot of breath work, just that nice, deep, grounding breath. And then I clear my cards, which is usually I slam them on the desk a couple times.
Yeah.
Which sounds so aggressive. And then, so then I just shuffle them until I'm ready to start pulling cards. And that's when I'm reading for myself or someone else.
Okay, great. And what about you, Jessie?
I am inspired. That's some serious prep work prior to reading. So I'm pretty simple. I do feel it's important to center and ground. I really like to do alternative nostril breathing. And so I will do a couple of rounds, really just try to go inward. I do like to sage, and I also have my own office, which is nice, and I tend to clear it regularly, but I will sage cards and just sit, try to be quiet for a moment before. And I like to tap my cards to my chest, my heart space, and we'll usually fan them out and draw whatever cards are calling to me.
Nice. I like that. I like the deck to the heart thing. That's really pretty. So for me, my preparation honestly kind of changes from, reading to reading, with the exception of a few things that I always keep the same. The first thing is that I really like to draw sort of a circle around myself, and it's just a space where I say, okay, guides, this is where you're welcome, whether it's my guides or the guides of the person that I'm reading for. Maybe it's guides for the collective, like when I'm doing my weekly readings on Instagram. And I just invite spirits that have highest and best in mind. And then I always say, it sounds a little cheesy maybe, but I say self-doubt is banished from this circle, and this is where my intuition really reigns supreme, and it's my intuition has final say here, and it just makes me feel a little bit more, maybe that's the way that I center myself and really just get grounded within that space. And And then, depending on my mood, I might also light some candles. I might do some smoke cleansing. But if I really just want to get into it, I don't do much of that stuff. I just really just go for shuffling the cards and getting them ready and all that kind of stuff. So it all depends on my mood. So now I think we can dive into our 3-card reading. And what we're going to be doing is working through what's called a compendium spread, or at least the first day of this compendium spread. And it's actually something that's been created by our very own Jessie. So Jessie, I was hoping that you would give us, before we dive into the reading, that you would give us a little overview of what this is.
Absolutely. I learned this technique from watching a few different readers expand on what is normally the daily card. So a lot of us do tarot practice daily, or we at least try to. And sometimes it's just as simple as drawing a card for the day, maybe 2 or 3, and then coming back to that card at the end of the day to see how it played out. And I was looking for something that was a little bit more invested or kind of just more colorful than 1 card a day. And that's where the idea of this compendium, and it's really taken from what's called a nesting spread or a matryoshka, like the little dolls that go into each other, right? The little Russian dolls.
Yeah.
Because it really does build on itself from day to day to day. So the compendium is that idea of taking a card draw at the beginning of the week that really sets the stage for that week, and then using each card within what you've drawn to build out day to day to day. And I just find that it really goes deep, and I love that it makes me think. It's something that I sit with all week long and then wrap it up at the end of the week just to see, what has happened, what did I learn. Maybe those cards at the beginning of the week where I thought it was something have turned into, a new meaning, or it kind of came to be differently than, what I thought. And so I love keeping them out all week and sitting with them. And I just find that it takes it to a whole other level. So I would love to share with you guys. So by starting out this, it's like the first day. Usually I do this on a Monday morning, and I'll pick 3 cards for the week. And the first is the energy, spirit present, like where, who's coming through as far as guides or the overall spirit of the week. And the first card ends up being the one that you use for spirit present, and you really use that one the most throughout the week. The second card drawn is the embrace card, and that's what I'm being called to embrace over the week or in my life in that moment. And the third card is the let go. And these then become that foundational set of cards that you use to continue using to draw throughout the rest of the week. So we're going to do those 3 cards today.
Yeah, it's such an amazing spread and it's such an amazing idea because, like you're saying, it just really helps you go a lot deeper with each of those cards because, even though we're just going to do that first round today, sometimes you get that embrace card and it's like, okay, but what else is underneath all of that? You know what I mean? And then so on that second, or I guess on the third day, you can really go deeper with that. And I think you're going to be maybe linking to some more info about the compendium spread. Is that right?
That's right. So I created a couple different explanation videos that you can work through, just explains how to set up the compendium, what to lay it out in the spread. And then I do a sample reading how I would use the cards to read off of each other. And so it's more of an instruction, couple of videos. And then I have a workbook that you can use as a little e-course. And normally I charge for this, but for listeners, I'd really love you guys to use it in your practice. So for a few months after the podcast airs, anyone who uses the coupon code COVENCAST, COVENCAST, you will get access to those videos and the guide for free.
Wow, that's so awesome. Thank you, Jessie. Oh my gosh, that's so valuable.
Well, and I think as we are in our homes and really working, trying to, go inward, we're all meant to be pausing and really thinking about, what it is we're supposed to be focusing on or up leveling to. And I feel like spreads like this are such great tools to help us go deeper into those layers of ourselves. So yeah, I hope everybody loves it. And I would love to hear your feedback too, and definitely tag us as you use it.
Yeah, and I think it's cool too because if people are, if people that are staying at home and are having that extra time, I know the way you do it. Unfortunately, I can't do it because I don't have the space, but I know you like to leave your cards out through the whole week, so people can, take extra advantage of that, right? Because they might just be walking around their house, they'll see the cards again, and you can dive right back into it, right? So
absolutely, and it's easy as just stacking them up and putting them off to the side. They don't have to be completely spread out. But yeah, I always recommend using one deck just for the compendium, and then have other decks that you're, reading with throughout the week, but keep one that's just like your daily deck.
Yeah, so cool. Well, what a lovely gift to our listeners. Thank you so much for that. And as Jessie mentioned, we're going to go through the day one of this spread. So each of my co-hosts earlier today picked a card. Jessie picked the card for energy present. Elena picked the card for embracing, and Jekanovia picked the card for letting go. And so we each are looking at the same 3 cards, and this is the spread that we're going to move through with you guys. But we've also decided to use our birth cards as kind of a signifier for the overall reading. And what I mean by the birth card is, in this case, I'm not talking about the one that you can calculate based on your actual birth date, but this is just the one that corresponds with your zodiac sign. So, for example, I'm a Scorpio, so my card in the major arcana is the death card. For Jessie is a Taurus, so her card would be the Hierophant. Jekanovia, Cancer, so Chariot, and Elena is a Sagittarius, so Temperance. Okay. And if you want to know more about birth cards or signifiers, like there's a ton of information online. I don't want to get too much into it here, but maybe there's some future episodes in there that we can, discuss with. But okay, so before we dive in, I just wanted to give a few bullet points of overall things that people can look for in a reading when they're about to dive in. And then if you guys want to add your own little tidbits as we go, that's totally cool as well. So things that I look for are just the numerology, what numbers we're working with here. What if you had all 2s or all aces, or if you had a 4, 5, 6, something like that. The astrology, not everybody works with the astrological correspondences, but if that's your jam, then that can get really interesting as well. You might want to look for what suits and what elements are showing up. If you have, all cups, what that might mean, or if you have a cups, swords, and wands, but no pentacles, what that might also mean, the missing element. Do you have a lot of minors, a lot of majors, a lot of court cards? You might want to look at the symbols and the colors and how they run throughout each card in the reading, or how they don't. The body language of the figures, which we all know Jekanovia is the boss at looking at body language. So I can't wait to hear what she has to say about this reading. And then kind of the overall flow and story that's happening within the cards. Do you guys have anything to add to that kind of quick list there?
No, I think it was good. Basically, everything you covered is pretty much all the things that I try to look at. Besides, the obvious, listening to the intuition first. But I think it sounds beautiful.
I'm so glad that you brought up the intuition of it all, because I really did mean to say that no matter how many of those things that you look at, what you feel from the cards and what that intuition is guiding you towards is obviously going to sort of trump everything else, right?
Right.
I was actually just going to add, I find it's really helpful sometimes if you're able to associate some of the people in a card, or even some of the animals in a card, with someone in your life. In your real life.
Okay.
Sometimes that helps bring a lot of meaning to it too. So I just wanted to add that little bit in there too.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And one of the ways that I sometimes do that as well is because I do often look at the astrological correspondences. And so sometimes I'll pull that in. If I, to be perfectly honest, earlier in the week, I pulled the Hierophant, and I was thinking about Jessie, but I was also thinking about other Taurus people that I know in my life, or other people that I know that kind of embody that energy. So you could do it in that way, and I'm sure in other ways too.
Oh, Lately, well, it's kind of been like this since I've started tarot, but the energy that I pick up right away, and it's been
Mm.
noticeable more in the at the card pulls I've been doing lately on Instagram. I can actually feel everyone's energy with the card, like the energy matches the card that I'm looking at, and it's been wild. And so that's usually my guide through the reading, and it usually matches like what the cards are.
Very cool. And Jesse, anything to add?
I find that there's sometimes you do spreads where you're using the deck multiple times, right? You draw, you see what you get for a certain question, you put all the cards back, and then you put more cards out. I recently did a fun workshop with Shop the Eight House, and there was a tracking sheet. And what was really interesting in that practice was seeing how many of the same cards came up. And so sometimes if you're doing an elaborate spread where it's multiple cards that you're drawing on multiple questions, you might even see, beyond just the, how many swords, how many wands and pentacles, but what are the same cards that keep coming up. So, yeah.
Yeah, just starting to notice all those patterns, right? Okay. So Jesse, do you want to get us started with just your quick overall thoughts about the 3 cards that we have?
Okay, so today we've all drawn independently, but knowing which position of the spread we were going to be doing. So for the energy card, I drew the 10 of Cups in my beautiful 4